Have you felt lately like the world is still moving the same, yet your eyes no longer see it the same way? It's not a passing mood. It's not age. It's a quiet shift in your consciousness, one that alters what you notice, what you value, and how you move through life. If you've found yourself at peace when others are restless, if you've caught strange coincidences appearing at the exact moment you needed them, if the noise of the world no longer hooks you the way it once did, you may already be vibrating in the fifth dimension without even knowing it. Today, I will reveal 5 signs that you've crossed into this higher state. The last one will not just open your eyes, it will change the way you see yourself. Before we begin, like this video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and comment 99. Because in the spirit, 99 is a number of completion, signaling you are ready to step into the fullness of who you are. Sign 1. Your perception has transformed. The first sign that you've stepped into the fifth dimension isn't a change in what's around you. It's a change in the way your inner lens interprets reality. The world you once knew looks the same on the surface. Same streets, same faces, same routine. But the meaning behind everything has shifted. It's as if someone adjusted the focus of your vision, and suddenly, you can see the threads that were always there but hidden from your sight. Things that once triggered you, drained you, or made you spiral into negativity, now pass through you like wind passing over water. You still notice them, but they no longer have the same grip on your emotions. That rude comment from a stranger? You no longer replay it in your mind for hours. The unsettling headlines on the news? You feel the energy behind them, but you no longer get pulled into the chaos. The delays, the interruptions, the misunderstandings. Instead of reacting with frustration, you find yourself pausing, breathing, and letting them drift past. And here's the key. This is not numbness. This is not shutting down your emotions. This is awakening to the truth that nothing external can dictate your inner state unless you give it permission. That realization is a form of spiritual freedom no one can take from you. You begin to catch pockets of stillness in the middle of everyday life, moments so pure they feel almost unreal. You're washing dishes, and suddenly the sound of water feels like a gentle melody. You're walking down the street, and the sunlight catches the edge of a building in such a way that you stop in your tracks. You look up at the sky, and for a moment, it feels like it's looking back at you. These flashes of peace arrive without warning, without effort, like gifts from somewhere beyond the physical. They make you realize that the drama you once fed on, the endless need to react, is nothing but a distraction from the truth that has been waiting underneath it all. And something else begins to happen. You start seeing layers in people's words and actions. You can sense the pain behind someone's anger, the fear behind someone's arrogance, the longing behind someone's cruelty. You no longer get caught in the surface storm because you can see the weather patterns moving far above it. This doesn't make you better than others. It makes you more aware, more connected, more compassionate, but also less willing to be pulled into games of ego and control. Your perception shifts from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this trying to teach me?" And that single change alters the way you experience everything. Problems become teachers. Setbacks become hidden invitations. Even loss becomes a doorway into deeper understanding. This is the alchemy of perception, turning what used to feel like poison into something that feeds your soul. And yet, this transformation can feel unsettling at first, because when you no longer get trapped in the old triggers, you might notice the world around you doesn't know how to respond to your calm. People may test you, push you, try to draw you back into the old arguments. They might say you've changed, and they'd be right. You have. But you'll realize that your calm is not weakness. It's strength. It's the quiet certainty that you're no longer living in reaction. You're living in creation. But here's where it gets truly mysterious. This new perception starts to open doors you never saw before. Subtle patterns emerge. You begin to notice connections, signs and movements in your reality that suggest something, or someone, is guiding your steps. And that's where the next sign begins. A sign that will make you question whether you're living life, or life is living you. Sign 2. Life flows without force. One of the most powerful and liberating signs that you've stepped into the fifth dimension is this: you are no longer at war with life. The constant inner battle, the endless pushing, the exhausting grind of trying to make everything happen on your timeline, it begins to dissolve. You start to feel a strange, almost disorienting sense of ease, not because everything is perfect, but because you've stopped wrestling with what is. Challenges still show up, make no mistake, but they no longer feel like quicksand pulling you down. Instead, you observe them like waves in the ocean. Some are small ripples, some rise high and crash hard, but you've learned that each one eventually fades back into still water. This understanding changes the way you move. You stop clinging to what's leaving. You stop chasing what's not ready to arrive. And most importantly, you stop forcing life to bend to your will, because you've discovered there's a higher order that bends reality far better than you ever could. When you vibrate here, you start seeing the invisible choreography behind your experiences. A delay that once would have driven you crazy suddenly reveals itself as divine protection. The job you didn't get makes space for the opportunity you didn't know was coming. The relationship that ended frees you for a connection that aligns with your soul's frequency. You begin to trust this invisible order, not in a blind, passive way, but in a knowing way. A deep, cellular-level recognition that nothing is truly out of place. And that trust changes the energy you carry. You stop making decisions from fear, the fear of missing out, the fear of failure, the fear of being alone. Instead, your choices come from calm intuition. Sometimes they don't make logical sense, but they feel right in your core. And every time you follow that inner pull, life seems to arrange itself in ways you could never have planned. The phone call comes, the door opens, the chance meeting happens. Outsiders might tilt their heads and ask, "Why aren't you worried? How can you be so calm when you don't know what's next?" You smile because you know the truth. You do know what's next, not in detail, but in essence. You know it will be right, because it always is. This is the opposite of passivity. It's not sitting back and doing nothing. It's acting from alignment rather than anxiety. It's moving when the current moves, and resting when the tide is still. It's the end of frantic paddling against the flow, and the beginning of letting the river carry you exactly where you need to go. And here's the paradox. When you stop forcing, more happens. When you stop clutching, more arrives. When you release the tight grip of control, you create space for miracles to slip into your reality. There's also a quiet courage in this state, because trusting the flow means surrendering the illusion that you are in charge of every detail. It means living with the mystery not as an enemy but as a companion. It's leaning back into the unknown and discovering that it holds you. But perhaps the most surprising part is this. Once you begin to live without force, the very energy around you shifts. People feel it. Circumstances rearrange. The same situations that used to drain you now seem to resolve themselves before they can pull you under. It's as if the universe begins to conspire in your favor. Because in truth, it always was. You were just too busy pushing to notice. And yet, there's a deeper layer. This flow is not random. It's guided. It's intentional. And once you start to recognize the patterns of this guidance, something extraordinary begins to happen. Events, people, and opportunities show up with a precision that defies logic. It's here that the next sign emerges. A sign so profound, it will make you question whether luck even exists at all. Sign 3. Meaningful synchronicities multiply. Once you begin vibrating in the fifth dimension, the word coincidence slowly fades from your vocabulary. You realize that what you once brushed off as chance encounters or random events are actually carefully timed alignments, signs placed with precision, arriving exactly when your soul needs them most. It's as if the universe has been speaking to you all along, but now your hearing has been restored. You start noticing it in subtle ways first. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and within hours their name appears on your phone. You open a book to a random page, and the sentence staring back at you answers a question you've been wrestling with in silence. You hear a song, and in the middle of the melody, there's a single line that pierces straight into your heart. A message so direct it feels impossible that it's just a song. Even the streets you walk down seem to whisper. A word on a billboard, a stranger's conversation you overhear, a number that repeats until you can't ignore it. They all point to the same truth. You are being guided. At first, these moments might feel eerie, even unsettling, because the accuracy is too perfect to be dismissed. You might catch yourself thinking, is this really happening? Is someone pulling the strings? And the answer is yes, but not in the way the fearful mind imagines. There is an unseen intelligence, a benevolent force, orchestrating connections that align with your soul's highest path. You begin to sense that every person, every opportunity, every detour is a thread in a much larger design. Your intuition sharpens to the point where you no longer need external confirmation. You simply know when to make a call, when to take a turn, when to wait just 5 more minutes, and when you follow that inner nudge, the results are so precise, it's almost supernatural. What once felt like logic and planning guiding your steps is replaced by something purer, something quieter, yet infinitely more accurate. And here's the paradox. The more you trust this guidance, the more it shows up. These synchronicities are not just about small conveniences or lucky breaks. They become gateways to deeper truths. That person you randomly meet ends up holding a piece of your life puzzle you didn't know was missing. That delay in your plans causes you to cross paths with someone who shifts your perspective forever. That invitation you almost declined leads to a conversation that redefines your next chapter. And you start to realize, the universe is not passive. It is interactive. It is responsive. And when you raise your frequency, you begin to converse with it in a language of signs, timing, and alignment. But there's another layer. Synchronicities also act as checkpoints. They arrive not just to encourage you, but to confirm that you're exactly where you need to be. They are cosmic winks, letting you know that even when you feel lost, you are on track. This realization removes the anxiety of, am I making the right choice? Because life begins to answer you in real time. And yet, with every synchronicity, there's also an invitation to go deeper, to listen more closely, to act when you're called, even if the logic isn't clear yet. Because here's the truth, these patterns aren't just for comfort. They're part of the map leading you into your fullest potential. Ignore them too often, and they grow quieter. Respond to them, and they multiply until they become an undeniable force shaping your reality. You'll find yourself living in a constant state of anticipation, not from anxiety, but from wonder. You wake up wondering what alignment will appear today, what unexpected connection will unfold, what message will drop into your path just when you need it. This sense of being in an ongoing conversation with the unseen keeps you present, keeps you alert, keeps you deeply engaged with life. And yet, there is one synchronicity that is unlike the rest, one that doesn't just guide you, but bends your entire sense of reality. It's the moment you realize that time itself has been playing by different rules than you ever imagined. And when that happens, everything you thought you knew about the past, the present, and the future begins to unravel. Sign 4. Time feels different. One of the most disorienting, yet liberating shifts that happens when you step into the 5th dimension is the way time begins to unravel. The past, the present, and the future no longer sit in neat, separate boxes. Instead, they start to bleed into one another, as if the lines between them were drawn in water. Moments you thought were gone suddenly feel alive again, but without the weight of pain. The sting of old wounds dissolves, leaving only the wisdom they carried. And just as strangely, visions of the future begin to creep into your present, not as vague daydreams, but as vivid experiences that later play out exactly as you sensed them. You'll notice this first in small, almost playful ways. You'll dream of a conversation, and days later, it happens word for word. You'll picture yourself in a place you've never been, and weeks later, you're standing there, realizing you saw it before you arrived. At first, it may feel like déjà vu, that eerie sensation that you've lived this moment already. But over time, you realize it's not a trick of the brain. It's the truth. You're touching different points on the timeline before they physically arrive. And then there are the shifts in the way you experience the clock itself. Hours can vanish in what feels like minutes when you're deeply present, lost in something that lights you up. On the other hand, a brief moment of awe, the way sunlight filters through the leaves, the sound of laughter, the warmth of someone's eyes, can feel eternal, as if the universe is stretching that instant so you can drink in every drop. You begin to understand that time is not fixed. It's elastic, bending to the energy you bring to each moment. This is where the deeper realization sets in. Time, as you've known it, is an illusion. It's a tool for organizing the physical world, but it's not the ultimate reality. In the fifth dimension, the only thing that truly exists is the eternal now, the living, breathing moment you are in right this second. The past exists only as memory. The future exists only as potential. The now is the only place where creation actually happens. This is why, when you fully inhabit the present, life responds instantly. Opportunities open, clarity comes, energy flows. And yet, living in this awareness is not without its challenges. You may find it strange to plan for the future when part of you knows the future is already unfolding in unseen ways. You might lose patience with schedules, deadlines, and rigid structures because they feel artificial compared to the natural rhythm you've tapped into. People may think you've become too relaxed about time, but in truth, you've simply stopped worshipping the clock as if it were a god. You no longer race to meet it. You walk beside it, knowing it will bend for you when needed. There's also a spiritual responsibility here, because when you realize the present moment is the birthplace of everything, you become more conscious of what you're creating with your thoughts, emotions, and actions right now. Fear in the present plants seeds of fear in what's to come. Love in the present multiplies love in the days ahead. This awareness makes you more deliberate, more intentional, more aligned with the reality you wish to live in. And sometimes, time's shifts are so profound, they bring you to your knees. You might have a moment where you feel the presence of someone you've lost as if they're standing right beside you. And you know, in that instant, that separation is just another illusion. You might sit in meditation and suddenly feel as if every version of you, past, present, and future, is here now, converging into one being, one consciousness, one soul. It's overwhelming, but it's also the most natural thing you've ever felt. Once you see time for what it is, you can never go back to living as if it owns you. You stop chasing the next thing and start inhabiting the thing that's here. And this shift prepares you for something even deeper. Because when time no longer cages you, your sense of self expands beyond the human framework entirely. And that's when you begin to feel it. The pull, the call, the undeniable connection to something far older and far greater than the ticking of a clock. A connection that hums in the earth, in the wind, in the quiet heartbeat of nature itself. And that is where the next sign will take you. Sign 5. A deep connection with nature. When you step fully into the frequency of the fifth dimension, nature stops being scenery. It stops being something you simply look at or walk through. It becomes something you are. The trees no longer feel like trees in the ordinary sense. They feel like ancient relatives you somehow forgot you had. The rivers are not just water moving toward the sea. They are living arteries, carrying the pulse of the earth itself. And when the wind moves through the leaves, you don't just hear it. You feel it inside your chest, as if your own breath is merging with the planets. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's an awakening of a truth you always knew but had buried under years of distraction. You start noticing details that once slipped past your senses entirely. The subtle shift in the air before it rains, The unique tone of a bird's call in the morning compared to the evening. The way sunlight feels different at dawn than it does at midday. These are not just observations, they're conversations. Nature is speaking to you, and for the first time in your life, you understand the language. And this connection is not just visual or auditory, it's deeply emotional. You feel a strange, almost childlike affection for the trees on your street, as if you've known them for lifetimes. You find yourself silently thanking the ground you walk on. You linger in front of flowers, not because they're pretty, but because they seem to be radiating something you need. Even animals respond differently to you. A stray cat locks eyes with you and refuses to break the gaze. Birds land closer than they used to. A dog you've never met runs up to greet you as if you were an old friend. These encounters are not random, they are recognition. On some invisible level, nature can sense that you are tuned back into its frequency. There's also a pull, an undeniable longing, to spend more time outdoors. Crowded rooms feel heavier than they used to. Artificial noise drains you faster. You crave the sound of wind in the trees more than music, the sight of the stars more than the glare of screens. Even your body begins to guide you toward this reconnection. You might suddenly feel the urge to walk barefoot on grass, to sit by a stream in silence, to watch the sun rise without rushing to the next task. And when you answer these impulses, something profound happens. You feel restored in a way that no amount of rest indoors can provide. Because nature in the fifth dimension is not just beautiful, it's medicinal. The forest absorbs your tension. The ocean washes away the static in your mind. The mountains steady your heartbeat. The rain cleanses your energy in ways you can't explain. It's as if the earth knows exactly what to give you in the exact dose you need, and all you have to do is show up and receive. And this connection goes even deeper still. It begins to dissolve the illusion of separation. You no longer feel like a visitor in nature or a human standing apart from it. You realize you are made of the same materials, the same elements, the same ancient stardust. The boundaries between you and it blur until there is only we. The river that flows is not outside you. It is the same current that flows through your veins. The tree's breath is your breath. The earth's heartbeat syncs with yours. Once you feel this unity, you can never go back to treating the natural world as an accessory to human life. You understand that harming it is harming yourself. You begin to care for it, not out of obligation, but out of kinship. And in return, it begins to care for you more openly, more tangibly. The signs become undeniable. A hawk circling overhead when you need clarity, a butterfly landing on you when your spirit needs lightness, a sudden shift in the wind that feels like a whispered answer to your unspoken question. And yet, as you deepen this bond, you realize it's not just about peace or beauty. Nature is preparing you. It's training you to sense energy in its purest form, to recognize patterns beyond the human mind's grasp. Because when you can hear the voice of the wind and understand the stillness of the stones, you are ready for the next revelation, the one that will show you who you truly are, beyond the limits of this world. And that's where everything we've uncovered so far comes together in one final, life-changing truth. What you have felt in this moment is not by accident. Every whisper of truth, every surge of recognition in your soul, every goosebump that rose while hearing these words, was a confirmation. These signs, the transformation of your perception, the ease of living without force, the multiplying synchronicities, the bending of time, the oneness with nature, they are not random moments. They are the fingerprints of a higher reality already taking root within you. And now, you stand at the threshold of something far greater than the life you thought you knew. If even a single word here resonated deep in your core, it means the call has already reached you. This is not a coincidence. This is your summons. You are not becoming ready. You are ready. The fifth dimension is not some distant place you travel to. It is here. It is now. It is in the way your soul responds to truth before your mind can catch up. Do not shrink back into the old ways. Do not mute this voice inside you. Live from it, breathe from it, walk from it. Because once you've seen life from this height, you will never truly belong to the old world again. And that is not loss, that is liberation. From this moment forward, you are not just an observer of the shift. You are a carrier of it. A living frequency, changing the atmosphere everywhere you go. This is your responsibility and your gift. If your spirit is burning with a quiet yes, speak it into existence right now. Comment below, I choose to vibrate in the 5th dimension. And let that be the declaration the universe hears tonight. This is the moment you stop waiting for the future to awaken you, and you step into the truth that the awakening has already begun. You are ready.